All right, take it away.
Perfect. So thank you everybody for coming. We're super excited to be here. There's some of our team members that are here also. So Rachel, James, and Sanhoon are also attending. So if you see them, say hi. So we're Falcomm. So we're building the next generation microchips for the wireless semiconductor market. So we're a hardware company. And we're developing really cool technology to put on satellites, phones, and cell phone stations. And I'll show a few slides to create context of why we're doing this and why we're trying to solve this problem. So just let's go ahead and think about the year 2030, travel a little bit into the future. And if you go 7, 10 years, even 20 years into the future, you're going to realize that a lot of people are going to own a connected device. So around 5 billion people by the year 2030. And this means cell phones, smartphones, tablets, laptops, computers, everything that transfer data wirelessly, right? And why is this a big issue? This is still a big issue because, as you know, right, if you own a phone or anything that transmits data wirelessly, there is a huge issue with having to constantly charge your phones, right? 20 years ago, you could charge your phone once a week. Nowadays, you have to charge it every few hours. In addition, for smart devices or like headsets or smartwatches, you have to also constantly charge them, or even so, you have to connect them to the wall. So the time that you can use them, you can extend the time that you can use them. Moreover, the wireless network infrastructure, like cell phone stations, satellites, and things like this, are extremely expensive to operate due to electricity cost. In the US alone, it cost them, the wireless network operators, around $120 billion in electricity to operate these cell phone stations, right? And all these problems that we have here, or that I'm showing here, they might not seem that they have something in common, but they do. And just keep in mind that electricity and energy also translate into our carbon footprint into the world, right? So we're using a lot of electricity just to transmit data wirelessly, which creates a huge problem, but also creates a huge opportunity for us. And the reason why this is happening, or why this is happening, is because there is something in every radio that your phone has, which is called a power amplifier, right? And power amplifiers are incredibly energy inefficient. They sometimes consume about 80% of the entire energy budget of your phone or your satellite or any device that transmits data wirelessly. Moreover, we use plenty of them in modern designs, and we've been using the same technology for 90 years, right? And this 90-year-old technology is the industry standard. And we haven't seen any improvement over the past decades. So if you're a phone manufacturer, you only have two options in the market: commercial options to buy hardware to fabricate your radios, right? And these are two different types of radios. So, you know, one is called Doherty and another one is called common source. But the idea is that the options to create these radios are not that many. So this creates a huge opportunity for innovation. And also there is a desperate need to improve the hardware, especially in the energy efficiency side, right? So our goal is to develop the most energy efficient semiconductor chips for the wireless communication market. That's our goal. And we did this by we went to the lab and we spent 7 years in the lab to redesign the way we use the transistors, right? So for the past 90 years, people have been using transistors as a two-terminal devices. We figured out a way to use all the terminals in the transistor, and we were able to demonstrate that this creates a huge efficiency improvement in the way you build the radios. So it was a very technical challenge that we were able to solve. And in doing so, we were able to demonstrate increasing performance in our radio front end. So we were able to increase efficiency by 30%, improve the power density of the radios, and also we did this by reducing the hardware size by half, right? So we created a brand new way of designing these radios that is giving us great results in the lab, right? So our mission right now is that we want to put the energy efficiency chips that we created in every phone, satellite, and cell phone towers in the world. That's the mission that we have right now. So the market, the power amplifier market or the wireless radio market is huge, and it's around $16 billion and growing, and it's growing at a huge rate because, as you know, we're deploying new wireless network infrastructure, automotive radar and emerging markets, and also satellite communication is growing at a fast rate, and that creates an opportunity for us, a very valuable opportunity for us. We're post-revenue, so right now we're working with different satellite companies, and this is just an example of the value that we're creating. Just to a quick explanation, most of the satellite companies, or all of the satellite companies, are worried about how much it costs to launch satellites. It's extremely expensive to launch satellites. A big chunk of the satellite is the battery. So if you can reduce the battery weight, you can decrease the launching cost for the satellites. And we're reducing the battery weight because our electronics use less energy per satellite. Therefore, we create a huge opportunity for these satellite companies to reduce the launching cost of their satellites. And we also help them reduce the thermal management expenses. So we're creating a lot of values for these companies that we're working at. We're a group of PhDs out of Georgia Tech. We spent several years in the lab developing this technology. And we're also developing more technology that is going to help us improve the efficiency of this of our wireless chips even more. And I think that's going to be. If you have any questions, please let us know. And very excited to share all this work that we're doing with you guys.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Edgar. Can you remind me, when did you guys start? Did you start this in school, or how long have you been working on this?
So
you said 7 years, is that right?
Yeah, so we, as PhD students, we spend around, a chunk of our PhDs developing this technology. As a company, we've been alive for a year and 6 months. So, nice. We took this technology and we applied to the UC Berkeley Skydeck Accelerator Program. And this is an accelerator program that has a semiconductor track. So they usually accept 2 semiconductor companies every year. We were one of them that they accepted. And they give you a little bit of money, and they give you infrastructure, and they give you a lot of in-kind services. So we moved to San Francisco for a little bit. We started the company, and then we came back because we love Atlanta. And
that's great. That's good to hear. Yes. And of course, if anyone has questions, put them in here. Oh, I was going to ask about customers too, but Catherine put one here. What feedback have you gotten from your customers so far? Can you kind of talk us through what is your current client look like?
Yeah, so right now we're going for the satellite market. The satellite market is exploding. There are a lot of companies that want to launch constellations to provide wireless services, either for Wi-Fi or space internet or cell phone services. And we actually were in San Francisco last week visiting a couple of satellite companies, and they're having a huge problem with the energy efficiency. So energy efficiency is key for them, and also thermal management. So it's really hard to keep things cool in space because you don't have air. So it's really hard to get rid of all the thermal waste. So they're kind of we're getting a lot of great feedback for the energy improvement that we're providing for them. And this is kind of the graph that we show here, that basically this is the launching cost, and you calculate this based on how much battery and solar cells you need per satellite. So the more efficient electronics you have, the less battery, the less solar cells you have to use in the satellite, the less weight in your satellites, therefore your launching costs are reduced. Also, you're able to keep your satellite on for longer in the orbit, right? So we're getting great feedback. one of the hardest thing for us is not the technology differentiation, but how to enter the supply chain and how to make sure that we can execute all the way from design to delivering the microchips. So that's kind of, you know, what we're trying to figure out with the customers that we have right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'll get two more questions here and then we'll move on. Do you fabricate the semiconductors? And then of course, someone wants to know, can they buy stocks in your company?
Yes, for sure. The most important question, if they can buy stock, yes. No, but semiconductor fabrication is very expensive. They're called foundries where they fabricate these microchips. You know, they cost north of $10 billion. So most of the companies that you hear, Qualcomm, Skyworks, even Apple, they don't have their own foundries. So they're what called fabless semiconductor companies. So you have companies like TSMC or Global Foundries or Qorvo doing the manufacturing for us, which is great because we don't have to spend $10 billion creating manufacturing facilities. So yes.
Great.
Yeah, but we have really good relationships with the manufacturing partners. The one that we have the best relationships is Global Foundries. They're kind of, you know, tier one manufacturing company or
Awesome.
foundry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I love hearing about your partnerships. And it's also great to hear about your
And this is how kind of the microchips looks. If you want to see them, the one on the left, you know, that's kind of how we test them. And we use gold wires to test them to attach them to a circuit board, and then we do in-lab testing. But I just wanted to share a picture of how it actually looks.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, there is another question in there, and I assume you guys will be around here afterwards, but we appreciate you being here, Edgar, and your team as well, and look forward to seeing kind of what happens next. Excited to hear about your traction.
Thank you, guys, and I'll be here if anybody else has any more questions.
Amazing. Yes, there is some in the chat, so feel free to answer there. And then next, I'll invite Anthony AJ up. He is the founder and CEO of Blooksy. So if you want to, oh, look, he already shared. Okay. If you want to turn on your video too, AJ, and then Edgar, you can pop yours off. I'll stop mine and we can go from there.
All right. Can you guys see me?
We can. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. My name is AJ. I'm the founder of Blooksy. Blooksy is a software as a service platform. It helps people write and publish their books fast. So we developed Blooksy with the intention of solving the problem for authors. But in developing it, we realized that professors have the same problem. So I'm going to focus on those two use cases. And I'm going to get into a demo pretty quickly here. But the problems that authors have, typically when they start writing their books, they run into what's called a blank page syndrome, not knowing what to write, struggle with organization, inconsistent templates. That's really big in the world of publishing. And then collaboration with either peers or editors. Same problem that we found with university professors and people who publish, librarians and things like that. Collaborations with other researchers. The way that they work now is they use probably 95% of the market. They use Microsoft Word and they store that Word document, just like authors, on a Dropbox or Google Drive. Then they take turns back and forth when they're publishing research papers. They send emails back and forth to each other. And then before they publish, they have to bring someone else in that's going to do the formatting to get it ready for publishing. Also, time spent doing research online and citation management. So again, our software initially was built to help authors, and it still does that in a great way. As a matter of fact, we have an author launching today at the Chicago Maritime Museum in Illinois, so we're excited about that. But I want to get into a demo and show you guys exactly how Blooksy works, okay? All right, so what you're looking at right now is our dashboard. And of course, I've done hundreds of demos. I'm going to walk you through the process of creating a book. Now, as an author myself, and I've published 5 books and helped over 250 people publish, there are a lot of things that are inconsistent about writing and publishing books. And we created a 4-part framework that you could follow, or that any author could follow to get their book out very quickly, okay? So we built, first of all, consistent templates, right? If you're writing a nonfiction book, you just select nonfiction. And I'm gonna call this JC's nonfiction book. And let's see, okay. So you select your template. And when you look at the user interface, we wanted to create the experience of actually being inside of a book, okay? And we did that by, of course, building in a few components that make life easy for authors. Number one, if you'll notice to the left, we have copyright page is already built in. That saves the authors right off the top. It saves you money. We are going to build direct connection to Bowker.com, which is where ISBNs are distributed. The other components of front matter, and these are all the things that authors never think about. Every author that I've ever published, they give me their manuscript and they say, AJ, I'm ready to publish. And I'm like, wait, I need your dedication page. I need your foreword. I need your preface. We built all that in to make it easy for authors, along with instructions. Now, this is important for authors, but it's even more important for university professors. And I'll give you an example. What you're looking at here, this is actually a custom template that we are building currently for University of South Florida that will apply to any universities that are doing academic article publishing, right? So they have the different components that will be preloaded with the requirements for each university. Again, 95% of them are the same, but if there are customizations, we've built in a way for them to customize those sections, all right? So back to the demo. So the 4-part framework, the first thing that we want people to do when they write, whether it's an academic article or publish, is what are the high-level ideas that you want to talk about? So in the case of a book, let's just call this chapter 1. And very easily, you can add another chapter. Now you have chapter 2. Now let's compare this to Microsoft Word. If you've ever used Word and you wanted to add a chapter or add a page break, you have to, number one, you have to understand how to do it. Then you have to insert, page break, and all these different things. We just made it really easy. You can drag and drop, one button click, add chapters. If you want to edit, modify, super simple, drag and drop, reorganize, all the things you need to do there. So the first thing is to get the ideas out of your head. The second thing is, if you're writing a chapter, what are the stories? What are the ideas that you're going to communicate in those chapters? So we created a notes section for each chapter so that you can outline the stories. So again, the first part of the framework, outline your high-level chapters. We'll call this story 1, story 2. So again, you add your stories. So for each chapter, you can very quickly get the ideas out of your head. Think about the stories of the process that you're going to communicate in each chapter. And now you're sort of building out a framework, right? Most of the authors that we work with, and anybody here who wants to write a book, you probably know your stories already, right? So again, the framework is now, since you understand the stories, what if you could just speak your stories directly into the software, right? So we built voice to text into the software, and this has been huge for authors. So you can click on start, and you can speak your stories directly into the chapter, real time, and it will transcribe with about 90% accuracy. Okay, so again, you have, in 2 minutes here, we've already outlined sort of the chapters. We have those different stories for each chapter, and now we can actually speak those stories very quickly, okay? In the university environment, this has been awesome because we've had a professor, she spoke her abstract into our transcription tool. Then she copy pasted her abstract into our artificial intelligence research and writing tool that we built in. So how does AI work? So again, whatever topic you're writing about, you can use our artificial intelligence research and writing assistant. You input the topic, you describe the topic, and you give it a few keywords, and in under 30 seconds, it will create content for you real time. So let's see, how does artificial intelligence work? Help in, or how, better example, can creation. All right, so let's see, content creation, artificial intelligence. Okay, now in under 30 seconds, the artificial intelligence will go out and it will attempt to create original content up to 12 paragraphs for whatever the topic is. Now, You can either ask open-ended questions, you can provide a paragraph and it will elaborate on the paragraph. It makes it super simple, right? So again, in under 30 seconds, if you notice here, let's see, when it comes to content creation, artificial intelligence can be a real asset. So in under, what is that, about 15 or 20 seconds, it's created content that now, the point is not for it to write the content for you, it's to give you a baseline that you can start from so you're not starting from a blank page. Remember, a lot of people, they get stuck because they're in their heads. This sort of helps you kickstart your process, all right? If you want to save it, you just save your content here. And in the University of Florida, where we have a pilot program, they were able to use this software, and what usually takes them 6 to 8 weeks, they were able to answer a call for proposal using the artificial intelligence and do it in 1 week. And I have a video testimonial of how excited they were. And as a matter of fact, when they did that, they actually contacted me for more licenses. So now they have about 30 researchers, professors, and students that are using Blooksy. And they're actually going to make a decision on a bigger purchase by the end of this month. Okay, just want to share this with you really quickly. So this is one of my visits to the University of South Florida, and they actually brought me back down again to do another presentation in front of a larger audience. So we do have traction there. A few more things in the demo. We can customize this for any template. So we've already met with the Department of Defense for white papers. We have lots of different things, but we are laser focused right now on the university environment because the opportunity is so big there. This is one university. They have USF 13,800 potential licenses just for that university. Conservatively, if we get 1,500, you know, we're looking pretty good. Okay. But what's the size of the market? These are research universities, and let's show you a little bit more traction. So University of South Florida, we have 30 users in pilot, between 1 and 10 users at the next 4 universities, and the next row is follow-up universities. Go to market, of course, academic articles. We do have authors that are using the platform, about 260 authors. It's sort of organic. We just started doing webinars again about 2 weeks ago so that I can grow that channel. Just once a week, I'm doing a live webinar to bring more authors on board, all right? Let's see, a few other things. We can customize the experience. So any university that has custom requirements as far as font sizes and things like that, we can customize it. Also, whatever the export requirements are, we can customize that as well. So they're really excited because they're all mostly using Microsoft Word, and they've been doing it forever, and they're all really frustrated. So that's why we turned our attention not 100% away from authors, because we are still supporting them once a week through a webinar. And I do have a few author coaches in the membership group, but we are focused on universities right now. I wanted to leave room for questions because I can talk about this forever and ever. So
awesome. This looks amazing. Thank you for showing us the product, walking through it. Seeing it live is always so fun. One question that came in was, of course, where does the, well, 2 questions. Where does the AI pull content from? And are there worries about plagiarism?
Yes, great questions, great questions. So let me answer the second question first. We are actively developing a plagiarism checker that will check the content real time as the results show up, and it will hyperlink back to the source. We're also building a citation engine that's going to take a little bit longer to develop that will automatically cite the source of the content. So where does the AI get the content from? So the AI we're using open.ai. It's an aggregate of data, right? So any topic that you type in, it will go out and search. It's not a database, it's more of a brain, the way the relationships between the data, but it will attempt to recreate data that it finds through pattern matching, through synonyms. It'll just try its best to recreate the content. But again, sometimes it does plagiarize. So something we thought about from the beginning. We're building a plagiarizer checker in, and the universities are really excited about that because plagiarism is like the third rail, right? So yes, we have already thought about that, and we are actively in developing the plagiarism checker.
That's awesome. One more question here. Well, we'll have a couple in the chat, but does
Sure.
your product support latex? LaTeX? LaTeX.
Oh, latex. I think that's the citation. I think that's a citation tool. So we can build it to connect to any tool that has an API available, but we are developing our own citation engine. But we are working with Zotero and EndNote because I think they do have APIs. But yes, we'll build the ability to connect via latex. We're selling to authors and universities, Rhonda. So if you want to register, you can actually go sign up at Blooksy.com, use the discount code HALFOFFFOREVER, all lowercase, and you can get in and start writing your book right now.
Love it. Why don't you, I don't know, there's a few more questions coming in, Anthony. Maybe you can put that in the chat if
Sure.
you're open to sharing it with the full audience here. How can they find you, connect? And of course, you'll be here for a while. But then there are more questions and we'll invite you to answer them
Sure.
in the chat and of course move on. But thank you so much for showing.
Thank
It's always
you.
good to see the progress and we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Of course. Next up, our final guest today, we've got Frank with XComms. If you want to go ahead and turn on your screen, we'll invite you up to present and we'll then hopefully see your deck. Frank, you with us?
I'm with you. Okay,
Okay.
so I just want to share my screen here. Give me 1 second. Okay, and you let me know if you could see it.
I can see you and maybe let's see here. I can't see your face. So maybe if you
Can you see the screen at all?
I can definitely, there we go. We got
Okay.
you and we got the XComms and I'll turn off and take it away.
Okay, very good. So essentially what we provide at XComms is we provide a multi-channel internal communication solution that allows organizations to push out direct to screen messaging to their employees that essentially cuts through the chatter and clutter created by email and Teams and Slack and other collaborative systems like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show everybody what this tool looks like here. And I'm going to go ahead and log in. So it's a web-based tool. Any organization that wants to have somebody send communications to their employees would have their own personal profile. You could apply permission policies to those individuals that would determine how they're allowed to target employees with communications, who they're allowed to target, when they're allowed to target employees. And it's really, really easy to use. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. And when I do, it's going to bring me to a dashboard that's going to show me all the tools that are available to this particular customer. So as an example, you could see pop-up alerts, scrolling tickers, wallpaper management, screensavers, lock screen management, and interactive tools. The pop-up alert would deliver a pop-up alert notification directly on an employee's screen, very similar to if you were receiving a virus alert from Norton or McAfee, except it's far less scary because it would be branded with the customer's logos. The scrolling ticker would allow you to push out a scrolling headline across an employee's screen, very similar to if you were watching a news channel or a sports channel. Same thing, except it would be happening on your employees' computers. Our customers can also push out wallpaper backgrounds. So it's an interesting way to communicate to their employees, whether it's safety reminders, brand recognition initiatives, anything like that, they could push out as a wallpaper background. Companies could also manage their entire screensaver process through XComms and replace existing group policies to manage everything from one place. You could also push out wallpaper or lock screen background wallpaper to employees' machines. So whenever they're logged off, you could have communications there as well. And then you could push out interactive pop-ups. So as an example, you could push out a quiz or a survey. The end user can interact with it, submit it, and then these content managers would be able to get those results in real time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what these alerts look like. And the first one I'm going to show you is the pop-up alert. Now, the system has been designed to only have a two-step process. So the first step is a company would be able to create their content. A second step would be to target the recipients. So from here, a company could select a theme. This would be the outer skin of the alert. They can also pre-design and save templates. So if a company finds themselves sending the same type of communication, let's say on a monthly basis, weekly basis, whatever it may be, they can actually pre-design it and save it and pick it out from a drop-down list right here, and it'll automatically populate the message body, and then they can go ahead and click next and then send. But there are also optional settings for the companies to use. So they could determine the position. An alert will show up on screen. So maybe top left, center, bottom right, whatever it may be. They could send out a full screen alert. That, depending on the communication itself, should determine how prominent it is. So if it's an emergency communication, you may want to put that out as a full screen alert. You also have the ability to have alerts expire. So if an alert is sent out to the entire company and somebody's on vacation, when they come back to the office and they log in, there's not going to be alerts popping up all over the place. It would just be the most recent and the most relevant. You could also have alerts automatically close after a period of time. So if an organization sends out an alert to 10,000 employees and nobody's there to interact with it, close it out, or acknowledge it, you can have it automatically close after a period of time that you specify when you create the alert. And you could be a little bit more subtle if you want to. And instead of having an alert pop up directly on screen, you can have a tray notification. If you look at my system tray here, the little red X, that'll flash between red and white, notifying the employee, hey, you have a communication, click here and it'll pop up. And the system is fully trackable. So you could track proof of delivery and readership, but you could also track acknowledgement as well. So you can add an acknowledgement button to any one of these alerts, and it helps eliminate the excuse of, well, I didn't know, or nobody told me, or I get a million emails a day. Those excuses tend to go away because it is fully trackable. You could pre-schedule alerts if you want to, and then you could cast a really wide net. So in addition to sending alert directly to somebody's desktop, you could send a copy of it to their phone via SMS, WhatsApp, or even email, or all four if you want to. But at this point, if the content manager is satisfied with the settings and how it looks, they would just go ahead and click next. And once they do, they'll be able to target their recipients, and I'll just target myself here and click send. And once they click send, you could see it already coming up on a screen in the bottom right-hand corner. This would be branded with the customer's information, so their logo, their colors, and then that information in the message will be right there for them. After they send it, it'll automatically direct them to their history page, where they'll be able to see all the alerts they've sent in the past. So we'll see the title, when it was delivered, who the content manager was, if it was on a schedule, how many times it's been resent, if it's an active alert. And then you get quick options here where you can resend a copy, preview it, and then get quick analytics for the alert showing you the delivery rates. So that is the pop-up alert. The next one is the scrolling ticker. This is the one that delivers to screens very similar to if you're watching a sports channel or a news channel. So I'm just going to create one here, and we'll just call this ticker title, and then we could add our message here. And then in addition, you could actually drag and drop graphics directly into the ticker. So I'll just grab this one to make sure we get employees' attention. The content manager doesn't have to worry about resizing this, because the ticker would automatically resize it to fit the screen itself. The display settings, you could determine if you want that ticker to go to the top, the middle, or the bottom of the screen. You could also adjust the speed of the ticker. The delivery is exactly the same as the pop-up alert. Scheduling, exactly the same. And then the other options where you could send it as an SMS, WhatsApp, or email, exactly the same as a pop-up. So if you know how to do one alert, you could really do them all. So at this point, if the content manager is satisfied with it, they will click next, and then they would go ahead and target the recipients and then send a ticker. And if you look at the bottom of my screen, you'll see that ticker crawling across the bottom of the screen. So it happens instantly. So the speed, this is a medium speed, but if anybody wants to pause it, they could just hold their mouse over it. And once they release it, it'll keep going, and then they can just exit out or acknowledge it. We also have the ability to change wallpaper backgrounds for our employees. So if you want to add a wallpaper background, currently my wallpaper is kind of boring. So if we'll see if we could change that. You can drag and drop a file directly into XComms, or you could just browse for it. So let's see, I'll choose this one. That one looks nice. You could pre-schedule any of these wallpaper backgrounds. So if you want a wallpaper to be maybe more holiday themed, or if you want to notify people of open enrollment and you know that's coming up in a couple months, you could do that today, pre-schedule it, and it'll automatically deliver once that start date is met. But at this point, again, two-step process. You create your content, and then you click next, And again, what you do is you search for your recipients. You can search by individuals, groups. The system will sync with the company's Active Directory. So if there's distribution groups within a company's AD, they can use that for targeting purposes. And after I click send, it'll automatically bring me to my history page where you'll see the title, the status that it was sent, who the content manager was, the sent date, and all that good information. And then if you see my screen in the background, it changes again instantly. Everything happens really, really quickly. The next is our screensaver tool, which is a really, really neat tool. This gives any company the ability to manage the entire screensaver process. So if a company, and as most companies do, have group policies in place that manage screensaver content as well as the controls locally on the employee's computer, meaning user change prevention, how long a computer should be inactive before a screensaver kicks in, if you want to display a login after somebody deactivates a screensaver by moving the mouse or hitting a key, that all can be controlled right from here. Now, there's different types of content that you can use with this. You can use a single image, multiple images, a full PowerPoint presentation, or just upload an entire video. And then if you're going to use images or PowerPoint, you don't have to do all the fancy work in PowerPoint. You could actually add transitions directly to the content. And these are the transitions I'll show between slides in your PowerPoint or between images that you upload. A lot of companies push this out to common area screens, so break rooms, lobbies, things like that. If they want audio to accompany the screensaver, they can do that. They can browse for a WAV or MP3 file. If they don't have access to the remote control to control the volume, they could do that directly from here. They could add watermarks if they want to, and that's really it for the screensaver. And to give you an idea of what it looks like if somebody tries to change your screensaver, meaning an employee, let's say I'm an employee and I want to change my screensaver, it'll lock it. It'll say the system administrator has disabled launching of the screensavers as well as wallpaper and lock screen backgrounds. So here, if I try to change it, you'll see it's blocked. So no employees will be able to change this. So this is a huge relief for IT people because they don't have to manage that process. This can be managed by an HR department, a marketing department, and you don't need any IT involvement. The next tool is the lock screen tool. This is where you can actually push out. I can't demo this in a Zoom because I'll have to lock my computer, but it works just like the wallpaper where you could browse for an image, make that a lock screen background, target your recipients really, really easily. I'll just do that again and then click send. Can't show it to you because I'll have to lock everybody out of my Zoom, but it displays just like it does on a wallpaper background. Then we have the interactive tool where you can create a quiz or a survey. And once you do that, you could push that directly to employees' computers. They can interact with it, and then they could submit their responses, and then you would get those analytics in real time. You have delivery settings here, very similar to the pop-up alerts. We could allow for expiration dates, auto closes. You could pre-schedule quizzes, and then you could also adjust the scoring display. So you can allow or not the recipients to see a final score of a quiz. You could also let them know what they got correct or incorrect. So if you got an 80%, this is what you got wrong. You could display that to the end user, and then you could check your quiz history and check all the data that you want to. Like I said, the system will allow organizations to sync with their Active Directory, mainly for targeting purposes. There is a management tool here that's available that allows companies to sync with their Active Directory. This is where they can manage their content managers. So they can have an unlimited amount of content managers and then also apply permissions that would determine their access levels. So they can have full system admins, full content managers, meaning they could use all the tools, or you could set custom permissions. So if somebody in customer services, I want to send out those scrolling tickers to our employees, you say, okay, we can do that. Just tickers though, and then you're only allowed to target your employees in your department. And then when you log in, you can only view your content. You can't view everybody else's content.
Great,
the system, I'm sorry.
I might pause you right there.
Sure,
We've got
sure.
1 minute left, and I want to know,
Sure.
we do have one question and we'll stick around, but I want to be mindful. What is your pricing model? How you know, and who are you selling this to right now?
Okay, so we sell it to hospitals, financial institutions, really anybody that uses collaborative tools like Teams and Slack and email, because what they really want to do is make sure that what matters most gets delivered and seen immediately. That's really, really important to companies. And the way we price it is we price it based on licenses or employees or machines, and then by the tool. So a customer could say, we only want pop-ups and tickers, and we have 5,000 employees. So we would price based on that information.
Awesome. I'm sure there's a few more questions. It's 9 o'clock, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time. This looks amazing, Frank. Are you going to stay around? And Sean, you guys will be here.
Yeah.
But if anyone needs to drop off, it's 9 o'clock. I did want to share two things. We do have two events coming up for Atlanta Ventures. We obviously have another one of these in August. Late August. And then of course, we always have our healthcare entrepreneurship meetup. That is going to be Wednesday, June 29th from 8 to 9. And for those of you who follow us or want to get on our listservs, we have a newsletter and we've just released a podcast, which Frank was featured on last, and that is called Five and Thrive. You can find it on all podcast platforms. Listen, subscribe, check it out. We do it weekly, 5 minutes. John Birdsong, one of the partners here and who's on the call, is one of the folks who leads it. So I will stay on for a bit. I will stop the recording now, but we appreciate everyone being here. I assume Frank will be here for any other questions, but we thank everyone who came and who joined us today. And I appreciate you all. So talk soon. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.